What's going on, guys? My name is Chris Holachek, and this is another session of Holla Sessions. Today's topic is when you're lost and don't know where to go. Now, what I mean by that is, when you don't know who you are, you feel like a lot of things have happened in your life that you've lost yourself. And some of us, it could be a certain situation that happened recently or something from childhood. Who knows? Anyway, sometimes these things can knock us off our tracks, and we have to find ourselves again. And also sometimes God intends that to happen so we do find ourselves again, have an upgrade. For example, growing up, my mom is a beautiful human being on the inside and out, and she was one of the most giving people I ever knew. However, she had her problems. She had an alcohol problem, which ended up killing her, and also borderline personality. Let's just say gave her some demons that came out when she drank. Anyways, as a kid, those times when those demons came out, I never felt like it was safe to be myself. I always had to be the caregiver for my own parent, keep her from going crazy. So I neglected a lot of myself in my childhood, and for the first 26 years of my life, I never could really be myself. I was whoever everybody else wanted me to be, until that moment she did die. The alcohol got to her. It was like ground zero for me. Of course, I was devastated. Like, that's the most painful experience I'd ever been through. But at the same time, it was free and liberating. I felt like for the first time ever, I could figure out who I was. I thought I knew who I was, but through time and not having her in my life anymore, I could start doing what I wanted to do finally. And during that journey, I was finding myself turning to other people, try to figure out what that was. And the problem with turning to other people is that makes you controllable, can make you manipulated. And with that, you end up being what those other people want you to be. And it took a while for me to snap out of that, like going to these kind of people. They say you hang around people who are like your parents. You date people who are like the parent of the opposite sex. And I was definitely having issues with dating as well, finding abusive partners or partners who were not fully dedicated. But at the same time, I had to look into myself and be like, how am I reflecting that? Anyways, through time, I started finding different avenues. I really went hard with the music after she died. That was what propelled me to get into it. I ended up moving to Texas shortly after, and there I made all sorts of friends from many different circles. And I hung out with the cowboys, hung out with the hippies, hung out with the vatos, like everybody there. And hanging with the hippies at Kerrville Folk Festival. Shout out to Kerrville. They were teaching me how to meditate. That's the first time I ever learned how to do that, which is something Jesus did quite a bit in the Bible. That was a very normal thing for him. He's talking to his Father, God. That was his way of doing that, and channeling through him. And that's where I first started getting into that. I started getting into yoga a bit. That expanded through time. And that really helped me have an avenue to let out stress whenever things got rough without relying on alcohol or weed. That helped me starting to find myself. I even went so far as into doing ayahuasca ceremonies, one in Costa Rica, one in Virginia. And let's just say that was one of the most intense experiences of my life, both of those experiences. And it's one of those things where it's not like typical drugs where you're trying to escape your reality. It makes you face it. So once I did that, that really twisted everything around my life. I ended up dating not one but two different girls who were both always had one foot in, one foot out. And I had to realize, why was I letting that happen? And that was the lesson from doing that. the rewiring. You know, why? Not just that, but also like with jobs, I was picking jobs that were controlling, just like my mom was at times. Like, you attract the same people over and over, even if that person that caused you pain is dead. You know, something had a shift in me, and it really started changing when I started going back to church again. That's ultimately what did it for me. Not saying that's going to work for everybody, but definitely did for me. You know, all the things I went through in the past year, like I did go through a time where my music was doing great, and you know, I was playing downtown Nashville a bunch, and I was seeing a girl that was also playing down there too. And long story short, last year I had to deal with getting cut from playing downtown, got fired, and never told why. And that girl I was seeing ended up leaving me for another guy, and she didn't tell me. Like, I ran into her, and that really propelled me to wake up and put an end to not putting myself first. It goes back to the whole scarcity mindset. Like, you're starved of love, and you'll take whatever you can because you feel such a lack of it. And that's where you dig in, find out who you are. And that could take years to do. You know, you just gotta experiment, have the courage to try. It's not easy. It'll definitely knock you down quite a bit. But anyways, I went away from church for a little bit after that, because the incident was kind of related to church. I can't go into detail why, but yeah, I went on a splurge, like spending. I went to Thailand over there, and I just started spending a bunch of money that, you know, I should have saved up for the winter. And that's what led me to the beginning of this year going through a struggle. You know, when work unexpectedly came to a halt, that was really the defining moment where I started digging deep down inside and digging myself out of a hole. And I'm finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But ultimately, church is what finally helped me find that sense of self. That, and just constantly meditating and praying every day and continuing to grow, find different ways to push yourself. And I was so appreciative of church and God and what he's done with all these lessons. You know, you get to that point of gratitude where you're thankful for all the pain because it made you a better person. And you know, I decided this weekend I'm gonna get baptized again. I got baptized as a little kid, like when I was an infant. But you know, you don't know why you're getting baptized at that age. So now I'm making the conscious decision to put God at the forefront. You know, this is what finally has made me feel whole and complete, to where I don't need anybody else's validation, just God's. If I'm serving him and following what he has planned for me, everything flows well. Anyways, guys, I know it was a long story, but it's very impactful, and I wanted to share that with y'all. Anyways, I hope y'all found value in this story, and if you did find value, please like and subscribe to my channel. Helps me get the word out a lot more to people, and helps me continue to make these stories. You know, this has become a new joy for me, and I look forward to telling it to more and more people through time and continuing to share. With that being said, Holla is hollin' out.